In this video, I'll discuss about the next two random access protocols. Those are CSMA and CSMA bar CD. So here we have the next one, that is CSMA. CSMA stands for Carrier Sense Multiple Access. So this method was mainly developed in order to reduce the collision effect. So as you can see in the previous method, that is in Aloha method, there was a lot of problems were arriving because of the collision effect, isn't it? So here in this method, what we can do is we cannot completely eliminate the collision effect, but up to some extent we can reduce the collision effect. So in order to have the less collision effect, what we have to do is, see here the CSMA requires that each station first listen to the medium or check the state of the medium before sending. So that means here, as you can see in this figure 12.7, how many stations we have? There are A, B, C, D, 4 stations are present which are sharing the common channel, isn't it? So here all these stations are they have the complete rights to send the data at any time. There is no time restriction, but here only the one condition is applied, that is before starting that communication or before starting the transmission of data, each station has to sense the state of the medium, that is nothing but whether the medium is busy or it is idle, right? So continuously all the stations have to check their particular medium at a particular node point, I can say, right? So what is the meaning of this is, see, I'll just consider one example, that is if you want to take your vehicle out from the gate, right? So what you will do, you will just look out at the roadside and you check only in front of your home whether any vehicle is coming or what. If any vehicle is coming, then what you will do, you will wait for some time, and after the vehicle goes, you will take out your vehicle, right? So likewise here also the same thing is happening. All the stations have to check the transmission medium or the channel before sending the data. If the channel is busy, then wait for some time. If the channel is free or idle, then they can transmit the data. But here one more important thing is, all the stations will check the state of the medium, that is the state of the channel, only at the node point where they are exactly connected, not the entire channel state is not checked here, isn't it? So I'll repeat the same thing. All the stations which are present in the particular network, or I can say which are sharing the common channel, what they have to do is they have to sense the channel or else the state of the channel continuously before sending the data, but they are not able to collect the complete information of the channel. No, it is not possible here. So as you can see here in this figure, there is a collision has occurred, isn't it? So what it is telling is, see, B and C will start sending the data, right? So B will start sending its data at time t1, right? So what happens, B needs some times, or else the data which is sent by the B takes some time in order to reach C and D, that is station C and station D. But what happens, what C will do, again it wants to sense the data, right? So what it will do, at a particular time, that is at time t2, C will check for the channel whether it is free or what. So what it will do now, it will come to know that yes, the channel is free, but it is unaware of that the B has already transmitted the data, right? So at that time what happens, C will start sending its data at time t2. But as you can see, the gray part which is shown here, that is the area where both signals exist, that is the collision. So there occurs a collision here. Why? Because at the same channel, B has also transmitted the data, and as well as C has also transmitted its data, right? So there is a collision at a particular time. So the next one here we have is vulnerable time. So what is the definition of vulnerable time? Vulnerable time is nothing but what? It is the time in which the collision can happen, right? So there is a one time duration, there is a possibility of the collision can happen, so that particular time duration is called as vulnerable time, right? So here what is the meaning of propagation time? The propagation time is nothing but it is the time taken by the data to reach from one end to another end, right? So here as you can see, what will be the minimum vulnerable time? That is what will be the time in which the collision cannot happen. So here the vulnerable time will be propagation time only. So let us see in this figure only, that is let us say A is sending the data, right? So whenever A is sending the data at time t1, then B senses the channel is busy at time after some propagation delay, isn't it? So similarly, when the same data is reaching to T, it is taking some more time to reach the C and again some more time to reach D, isn't it? So here whenever A is sending a data, that is from A to D, the maximum will be D, right? So the worst case you have to consider here, that is the maximum length I have considered. From A to D, if you consider, the propagation time will be the total time, right? So as you can see here, from A to D, the total time is the frame propagation. It has been highlighted here in this figure by the color of gray, right? So that is the complete propagation time. Wherever one channel, that is one station, if A is sending the data, so until and unless all the stations which are present in the particular medium have to receive the data, right? So that is nothing but it's a propagation time. So at that particular time, no other stations are allowed to send the data, right? So even if they send, then what happens? There is a collision happens. So in order to not to have the collision, the minimum vulnerable time will be the same propagation time. And the next concept here we have is persistence methods. So here these persistence methods are exactly telling us what to do if the station senses the channel is busy and what to do if the station senses if the channel is not busy. So those will be answered by these three methods. The first one here we have is one persistent method, and the second one is non-persistent method, and the third one is P persistent method. So let us discuss this briefly. So the next here we have is this figure shows the behavior of three persistence methods. So here we have the first one, that is figure A, one persistent method. So here what happens, all the stations which are sharing a common transmission medium, what they have to do is they have to continuously sense the channel, right? So if they find the channel is busy, then go on continuously sensing the channel until and unless they find it idle, right? So what happens if any station finds the channel is idle, then at that time that particular station is allowed to send the data, is allowed to transmit the data. So that's what here we have in one persistent method. So coming to the next one, that is non-persistent method. So here what happens is instead of continuously sensing the channel, what here the station has to do is the station has to check the channel by waiting some particular amount of time slot, right? So as it is shown in the figure, once at a particular time, that is at t1, the station sends the channel. So if it finds busy, then for a particular amount of time that station has to wait, and again it has to sense. So again if it finds busy, then again it has to wait for a particular amount of time. So after that, if it finds the channel is idle or if the channel is free, then that particular station is allowed to send the data. So that's what here we have in non-persistent method. So when you compare one persistent and non-persistent methods, see in one persistent method there is a possibility of collision is more, right? But here what happens in non-persistent methods, the possibility of collision is there, it will be there, but it is less compared to the one persistent method, right? Why? Because see, in one persistent method what happens, all the stations will continuously checking the state of channel, isn't it? So what happens if two stations wants to send the data at the same time? So they are unaware of the other stations, isn't it? Whether all the other stations are sending the data or no. They are unaware of that. Just they'll sense the channel. If they find it is idle, then they start transmitting the data. So here what happens is, if at the same time two station finds the channel is idle, then what happens, both of the station will start sending the data. So at that time again there will be a collision, right? So here the possibility of collision is more in one persistent. So in non-persistent, as the all stations are waiting for a particular amount of time, the collision can be reduced here compared to the previous one. So coming to the third one, that is p persistent method. So here in this method, the advantages of one persistent and non-persistent are being taken, and this method is implemented. Like initially all the stations, or if I take only one station, if a station wants to send the data, it continuously go on sensing the state of the transmission medium, right? So if it finds busy, then continue the work of sensing, or else if the station is idle, then immediately it will not send the data. Here we have one condition, as you can see in this figure. Here once the channel becomes idle, then we are checking for a condition, that is R is less than P or 1. Here R is nothing but it's a random number which is generated by the station itself, and P is the probability value. So the probability value is always lying between 0 to 1, isn't it? So here continuously this R value is being checked, whether it is less than P or 1. If it is less than P, then that particular station is allowed to transmit the data. Or else what happens, if R is greater than P, then the station has to wait for a particular amount of time slot. So after waiting, again the station has to sense the transmission medium, whether the transmission medium is free or what. If it finds again busy, then the station has to wait for a back off time, right? So the back off time will be different for all the stations. It is not same, right? So already we have understood the concept of this back off time, how it is changing depending upon the stations. So after waiting for back off time, again checking for the condition, that is if whether R is less than or P or 1. So if it is true, then that particular station is allowed to send the data. If not, again it has to wait for some time slot and then send the data. So as you can see here, this figure shows the flowchart for the all three persistence methods. So here in this particular slide we have the flowcharts for two persistent methods. So as you can see in one persistent methods, the same thing whatever I have explained in the theory now, the same thing is been represented in a flowchart form. So here what happens, continuously go on checking the channel, isn't it? So if the channel is free, then the station can transmit, or else what happens, if it is true, that is if the channel is busy, then continuously go on sensing the channel. So that's what here we have in one persistent. So coming to non-persistent, again the same thing. The station first it will check for the channel, the state of the channel. If the channel is busy, if it is true, then the particular station has to wait for some random amount of time, and after waiting again the same station has to check for a channel, whether it is idle or busy. If it is busy, then again wait for a random time, right? Or if it is free, then the station can transmit the data. And here we have the flowchart for the third method, that is p persistent method. So as you can see, the station starts sensing the channel continuously. So if the channel is busy, then what happens, the sensing of the transmission time will be continuing, that is the continuous process. So if the channel becomes idle, that is nothing but here you can see as a false condition, right? False is nothing but the channel is idle now. If the channel is idle, then generate some random number, that is 0 to 1 R, isn't it? So after generating that random number, first we have to check for a condition, whether R is less than P or what. If R is less than P, then the station can transmit the data. If R is greater than P, then the station has to wait for a fixed slot, right? So after waiting, again the same station has to check for a channel whether it is busy or what. If it finds still busy, then again use of backoff process as though the collision occurred, right? Or else what happens, if the channel is not busy, then generate a random number and check for the R condition, that is whether it is less than P or what. If it is less, then the station can transmit the data. So that's how we have in P persistent method. So the next one here we have is CSMA bar CD. So it stands for carrier sense multiple access and collision detection. That is here all the stations, what they do is they are able to detect the collision. That is nothing but what, whether the transmitted data is successfully reached at the destination side or what, or else whether it is collided in between or what, the information can be gained here, right? So how means here all this, how many stations we have, as you can see in this figure, there are 4 stations, namely A, B, C and D, which are sharing the common transmission medium, isn't it? So what all the stations will do is, after sending the data or after transmitting the frame, they will continuously monitor the channel, the complete channel, right? So here they will be using the 2 ports, they will be having 2 ports, that is the stations, they will be having 2 ports, one for transmitting and another one for receiving parallelly, right? So if there is any collision happened in between the before reaching the destination, then the same information will be received by the second port. So the first port will be for transmitting purpose, and from the second port they will be receiving the information about the collision. So here as you can see in this figure, A will start sending its data at time t1, right? So here if the same data is sent in all the stations which are sharing the same transmission medium, so the particular data will take some amount of time to reach all the stations, right? So it is depending upon the distance at which they are placed. So as you can see here, B is nearer to A, right? So here B will receive the data immediately, not exactly immediately, it is after some time, right? So compared to C, after B, C will take some more time to receive the data from A, right? So similarly for D also. So here what happens is, at time t2, C station will also wants to send the data, right? So what it will do, C station will check for the transmission medium, whether it is free or whether it is busy. So it finds at time t2 the particular transmission medium is free, isn't it? Why? Because it is unaware of the other stations whether they have sent the data or no. So just C wants to send the data, and it has checked for the transmission medium and it found that transmission medium is free, so it starts sending the data, its data, right? So here what happens, as you can see, the 2 lines are being showed here, like the first bit of A and the first bit of C by the black line and by the blue line. So here they will be colliding at a particular time, that is consider it as a T4 or T5, right? So at a particular amount of time, they both signal will collide each other, right? So after colliding, what happens, there will be a creation of some garbage frequency or the garbage signal which is sent at the both stations, that is at A also, at C also, that is the garbage frequency signal, right? So once the A and C receives the garbage signal, then what they'll do, they'll understand that there is a collision happened in between, so I need to stop the sending the data now. So what they'll do is immediately they stop the transmission of data, right? So as you can see, the transmission time of A will be, it is T4 minus T1, and the transmission time of C will be T3 minus T2. So So as you can see, the same thing is been explained here, right? By this figure easily you will come to know that is what exactly it's been happening here. So this figure shows the collision and abortion in CSMA bar CD, right? So the same example here, the same example is been considered, that is at time t1 A will start transmitting the data, right? So since C is unaware of the other stations, so it will just sense the state of the transmission medium, whether it is free or whether it is busy. So at the time t2 C finds the station is free, so again it will also start sending the data, but unfortunately at some particular time both data will collide each other and there is a creation of some garbage frequency value, that is the garbage signal which is sent at both C station and at A station. So once A station and C station receives that garbage signal, they immediately start sending the particular data, right? So that's how the complete procedure is being explained here by this example. So here the same process is being explained through this flow chart. So here we have the flow chart for CSMA bar CD process. So as you can see here we have some parameters like K, R, so those you already know, right? So here K indicates it's a number of attempts, especially it's a for unsuccessful transmissions, and here we have random number R, so which is set from 0 to 2 raised to K minus 1, right? So here we have the next one, that is back of time TB, which can be calculated by R into TFR, where TFR is the frame transmission time, isn't it? So here initially the K is 0. So what is the meaning of that is the station will start sending the data, right? So here what it will do, it will first apply some persistence methods among all those three which we have discussed in the previous slide, right? So here the station will select one persistent method and it will apply, and after it applies, what it have to do is it has to check for whether there is a collision or what. If there is a collision, if yes, then what happens, it comes to the true condition, that is again it has to check for collision detected. If collision is detected, then send a jamming signal to all the stations which are present or which are sharing the common transmission medium. Or if there is a no collision is detected by any station, then the transmission and the reception, both the processes will be continuous, right? So until and unless whether there is a collision is happening or the complete successful of transmission, so the transmit and receive will be continuous, right? So now consider that yes, there is a collision has occurred and it is been detected also, right? So if not, if there is no collision, then what happens, the transmission will be successful, right? So what happens if there is a collision is present, and that time what happens, there will be a jamming signal we can call, in which all the stations which are sharing the common transmission will be alerted by a message like there is a collision is occurred in the transmission medium. Then what happens, the K value is increased by K plus 1. What is the meaning of this is, the station again it has to try once again, that is to retransmit the data, right? So that is nothing but what, here the number of attempt is increased, that is K is equal to K plus 1. So after increasing, again it is holding some range, right? So already as I had told you, here the K value should be less than 15. So here we cannot retransmit the data for more than 15 times, only we can try for 15 times. So it will check for that condition also. If it is less than 15, then again continue the process. If it is less than 15, then what happens, again some random number will be generated and wait for the some back of time, right? So how you calculate the back of time, that is R into TFR, isn't it? So there is a random number will be generated for all the particular stations, and if R is different, then back of time is also different, isn't it? So after waiting some back of time, again the same thing, apply one of the persistence methods that is done by the station itself, right? So again the process is continuous, right? So what happens if K has reached its maximum limit, that is If k is 15 now, then the condition here becomes false, isn't it? So at that time, just drop the data, that is abort it. So the next one here we have is energy level and the throughput, two concepts, right? So in terms of energy level, when you see there are three values, those are 0, normal and abnormal, right? So how it is been decided means, see, it is depending upon the state of the channel. If the channel is idle or if it is free, then it is called at a 0 level, right? So if the station has successfully captured the channel as sending as its frame, then at that state is called as a normal level. So what happens at the abnormal level? There is a collision and the level of energy is twice as the normal level. So as you can see in this figure, it is completely understood by the figure itself, isn't it? So as it is shown, the state that is idle, when the channel is idle, then that is a 0 level, right? So when the channel is sending any data, as you can see, that is called as normal level, and as you can see, the height of the frame transmission is at the normal level, right? So when there is a collision, so that is called as a abnormal level, right? So as you can see, whenever there is a collision, its energy level is doubled, almost doubled than the normal level. So coming to the throughput point, that is the efficiency of this particular CSMA bar CD method, right? So when you compare this method with the Aloha, that is what we have discussed in the previous class, right? So compared to Aloha, here CSMA bar CD is having the increased throughput, that is the increased efficiency. Again, the efficiency can be calculated by the value of G only. So we'll see how to calculate that in the upcoming classes.